Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we'll be covering the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Deluxe Edition, number 6. This is volume 2 of the official handbook, each issue double-sized with larger print. We of course have the wraparound cover, again from regular cover artist John Byrne, depicting our characters moving forward towards some unknowable goal. It is cover dated 1986, but the indicia on the inside indicates it is still a 1985 publication. So we'll go with that. We have our credits: Mark Grunwald, writer-producer; Peter Sanderson, writer-researcher; Elliot Brown, technical illustrator; Joseph Rubinstein, embellisher; Howard Mackey, assistant editor; Andy Yanchus, colorist; Brenda Mings, typesetter; Anita Duncan, production supervisor; John Byrne, cover penciler; Dennis Maloney, appendix compiler; Don Geiger, production; David Wohl, editorial assistant; James Fry, art enhancer; Jack Abel, proofreader; Harry Candelario, photo setter; and Jim Shooter's editor-in-chief. We have Constant Dilemma, our front piece column from Mark Grunwald, where he laments the difficulties of striking a balance between including a thorough report of the character's history and current state versus spoiling the current plots of the writers working on those characters' books at the time. So that's a kind of good inside baseball discussion of the balance they had to strike in that area. And so let's dive in and take a look at some of these entries. We start with the Human Torch. Incidentally, this volume goes from the Human Torch to Kazar. Working our way through the alphabet here. Human Torch, drawn by John Byrne, obviously. Nice piece there. We get a lot of great action shots of the Torch here by Mr. Byrne. Most of them, I think, are John Byrne in origin. This one may be a different artist, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can see all the varied uses of the Torch's powers, and they do a really nice job at that. I think this was a splash page from a Fantastic Four issue, and a great depiction of the city by Byrne in the background there. Nice job. Of the four Fantastic Four members, I would say Johnny Torch is my least favorite. Still a cool character, just was never a giant Human Torch fan in either guys, either the original robotic one or Johnny Storm. But an iconic Marvel character nonetheless. We have a nice entry on Hydra next. That criminal slash fascist slash political organization. And we have a very cool Mike Zeck piece here, and then Mike Zeck doing the heads of the various Hydra luminaries here. Some of these characters I'm familiar with, others I'm not. Of course, Baron Strucker. It's curious to see Mentallo and the Fixer as official Hydra members too, although I guess they were affiliated enough that they got that rating here in the handbook. Madame Hydra, aka Viper, is in here, of course. Red Skull, that's an obvious one. A couple of lesser villains who would certainly be welcome in my Villain Mission Force campaign, my tabletop roleplay campaign. Blackwing, Jackhammer, and El Jaguar. You might throw Commander Kraken in there as well. I don't know why the Space Phantom counts as a Hydra leader. I guess he impersonated a Hydra leader at some point. This is a phenomenal Steranko piece here from that 70s Captain America revival. Totally awesome. And Spider-Woman, one of my favorites, back when she had the full cowl instead of just the face mask. She started out as a Hydra operative. Bullseye, too. Hydro base. After the siege on Avengers Mansion was destroyed. The Avengers needed a base of operations. They settled on Hydro Base, so that became a more prominent location in the Marvel Universe. And this gives you, again, a great idea of the thoroughness of the coverage of these locations in the Marvel Universe. You get a nice side view, profile view, if you will, of the island, and then a cool aerial view that shows you everything. And again, if you're a role player, a tabletop role player, this kind of stuff is just invaluable for setting up a game or a scene, a fight scene especially. Hydro Man, very cool character. I would say like a second tier or even third tier Spider-Man villain. Let's imagine he has 4 tiers of villains, one being the Elite, your Green Goblins, your Dr. Octopuses. Second tier, I don't know who we might throw in there. But I would say Hydro Man would be in the second tier or the third tier of Spider-Man villains. Interesting thing here, it says he can lift press. He has superhuman strength, and as a consequence, he can lift press about 550 pounds. To me, that's not superhuman strength. Probably a mistake there. It should be probably 1,500 pounds or something like that. Who drew this Hydro Man? Ron Wilson. Great Ron Wilson artwork there. Nice Iceman here by Jackson Geiss. I have about the same affection for Iceman as I do for Johnny Storm. Just they're cool characters. They serve their purpose, but they're not my favorites. Interesting measurements here on Iceman: 5'8", 145. So he's not a very big dude. He does a lot of cool stuff with his powers, though, and great Neil Adams here from the first Sauron battle in the '60s. Really cool. Mahayogi up there in that panel. And we have Illusion, his partner we covered in, I think, the previous episode. Glamour. This guy has the ability to animate matter. Kind of cool. This is a Richard Howell drawing. Pretty nice. He did that second Vision Scarlet Witch limited series. And they were foes and then friends of the Vision and Scarlet Witch in that series. We have a classic Immortus here, delivered to us by Kerry Gammill. Very cool character, very critical character in the history of the Avengers. I'm reading that War Across Time series now with that's coming out every month, and really the first new comic I've bought since Hulk Grand Design. And really cool story there, and it involves Kang, and I'm sure at some point we're going to see Immortus too. Imperial Guard. Awesome characters, and I really love that they got Dave Cockrum to draw these characters because they're really his babies. He created them, brought them over from his designs for the Legion of Superheroes. They're kind of the Legion of Superhero analogs in Marvel. Very cool assemblage. It's a shame they get these truncated entries where we don't get the full extent of their powers, but it's nice that they're at least here and we get to see them for the most part. So we have a lot of these we can just are analogous to Legionnaires, like Astra is Phantom Girl, and Nightside is probably Shadow Lass. Titan is obviously Colossal Boy, things like that. Fang is a second-rate Timberwolf. And the unfortunately named Midget is, I guess, Shrinking Violet. And you could go on matching them up. Very cool designs here. These last 4 designs, I think, are John Byrne designs, because I don't know if these characters actually were in the original X-Men 107 when the Imperial Guard first appeared. And we have Impossible Man and Impossible Woman by Steve Lealoha. Very nice figure work there. And we're going to get some neat Perez stuff, because he featured in a few really cool George Perez FF stories during Perez's neat run on the FF. And we get the Inbetweener, drawn by Jim Starlin. Very cool. Such an important character in the history of that tortured warlock character. The Inbetweener is a cosmic entity who exists as the synthesis of the major concepts of the universe: life and death, reality and illusion, good and evil, logic and emotion, existence and nothingness, God and man. That's pretty heavy stuff. Neat character. Great Starlin panels here from the Warlock series. We get a nice detailed entry on the Inhumans. And we get some very cool, once again, truncated entries on the Inhumans. And who draws these? Let me take a look and see here. Bob Budiansky, who, again, very underrated cover designer, artist, had a nice run on Ghost Rider. Great Marvel artist, Bob Budiansky. Really like the design on some of these characters. Leonis. Leonis can lift press about 10 tons. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And we get some more Inhumans who don't rate the truncated entries even, just headshots. But it's neat that they're in there. Very cool. I'm surprised that they don't have that Yeti-looking guy who the Human Torch encounters when he's trying to get Crystal back. It was a Kirby story. And that character would later show up in John Byrne and Roger Stern's epic maxi series covering the Marvel Universe that came out in the late 90s. I think I've talked about it a little bit on the show here. The name escapes me right now. But it was after Byrne came back from DC. The Interloper, what an awesome shot here by Don Perlin, regular artist for the Defenders at the time. First appearance, Defenders 147. Origin, Defenders 152. And these are pretty much all Perlin shots here from the artwork. Interesting measurements, 8 feet, 1,000 pounds. The guy is huge. Interloper possesses superhuman strength and they can lift press about 40 tons. So again, he's an Eternal of Earth. These characters have so many powers. As I've said before, they're like a Swiss Army knife of superheroes. And did we pass up Icarus already? I think I might have skipped him by accident. Let me flip back and see. Yeah, I sort of glossed over him. Great Keith Pollard artwork here. Icarus is another Eternal. He can also lift press 40 tons and just has a bevy of cosmic powers. Great artwork here. Some cool Sal Buscema, a little bit of Kirby. I think this is a Keith Pollard cover there. Very neat stuff. Yeah, but the Eternals are just great characters. If you want a powerhouse on your team and you're putting together a Marvel team, just grab one of the Eternals. You'll be in good shape. They've got every situation covered. Invisible Woman, lovely John Byrne figure work there, inked by Joe Rubinstein, obviously. And then a bunch of Kirby and Byrne action panels. And really, I would say she might be close to, besides the Thing, she's my favorite member of the FF. And the way Byrne fleshed her out over his long run, she is really the most powerful and effective member of the team. Just her powers are just outstanding, and she grew to use them so effectively, basically projecting bolts of force and levitating and sealing parts of the battlefield off and generally being a spy when she needed to. And Byrne also did some experimentation with a lot of different hairstyles for her too, which was cool. This is a great shot, I think, from FF260. Her taking out a Doombot there. Iron Man, so this is great in this issue because we get this, the sort of revised armor, the white and red armor, the Scarlet Centurion basically, and then we're going to get the classic armor too. Now the regular armor says that it boosts his strength by 90 times, so whatever that works out to when you do the math. But this is a neat sort of, I don't know if this was a cover or if this was a splash page or something from one of the comics, a great show of the evolution of the armor to my favorite suit, which is obviously what anyone would say is the classic suit. And then we get the classic suit in its own separate entry. And this increases the wearer's strength by only 75 times. So it's a little weaker than the newer armor, but to me, I would take this over the newer armor because it just looks so cool. And we get a great little cutaway here of a look inside the briefcase that's Tony Stark used to carry the armor around in. Very cool. Get some neat, I think, Bob Layton action sequences too. And we get a lovely cutaway of how the armor works and all the specs here on the side. Jack of Hearts, such a gorgeous costume, but I'm sure the bane of many an artist. I think he was designed by Dave Cockrum. Very cool, but I've read in interviews that it was a really a pain in the butt for artists to draw this outfit. But I love this character, and I love that he got used more and more. Like Kurt Busiek brought him into the Avengers during his late 90s, early 2000s run, which was cool. I'm, of course, a huge fan of Hulk 214 when he initially shows up. His first appearance, oddly enough, is Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 22, and his origin is Deadly Hands of Kung Fu number 22 and Jack of Hearts Limited Series number 2, which is pretty great. And we get some nice action sequences here, some of them from the aforementioned Jack of Hearts series. Unusual features: the left half of Jack of Hearts' body has turned purplish black from direct exposure to zero fluid. Jack of Hearts' left eye has an opaque white membrane covering the entire pupil. Super strength level, unknown, presumably superhuman. And he has a host of energy manipulating powers. Jack-o'-lantern, Jason Philip McIndale Jr. would eventually, I think, become Hobgoblin later on in the 80s. But this is kind of a Hobgoblin / Green Goblin type character. Love this costume. Great 28mm HeroClix miniature for this character, which I've used in a number of games. Super cool. No real superpowers, but ex-CIA agent, I believe, and just an all-around nasty guy. And he has the cool gadgets and armor, and the flying disc, which is also really cool. And we get all the bits on how it operates here from Elliot Brown. So neat. J. Jonah Jameson. J. Jonah Jameson possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and build who engages in little exercise. Jameson is in good physical condition despite once having suffered a heart attack and being a chain smoker. Okay, pretty great. I think this is John Romita Sr. And then John Jameson, his son, is drawn by John Romita Jr., which is totally awesome. And I think that's Ditko right there. Or if it's not Ditko, it's Romita. And then we get a great Perez shot of John Jameson as Star God. And as Star God, he could lift press about 4 tons. So he was superhumanly powerful and very visually stunning looking character. Super cool. We get Madison Jeffries from Alpha Flight, one of the Canadian mutants. And he is drawn by Kevin Maguire. Who else could that be? Look at that facial expression. Awesome Kevin Maguire there. And this panel, I think, might be Mike Mignola and Gary Telioc. And Mike Mignola's brief run on Alpha Flight when he left Hulk and went to Alpha Flight. The Jester, I think an underused, very cool Daredevil villain. I guess he showed up a lot more in the 70s, but didn't really make many appearances in the 80s. But he's a neat villain. I mean, he's, I guess, Marvel's answer to the Joker or the Riddler. The Jester possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and build who engages in intensive regular exercise. The Jester is an above-average athlete with special skills in gymnastics, swordsmanship, and unarmed combat. And he has a series of gimmick weapons like this explosive yo-yo related to the whole Jester theme. And that art is outstanding. I've got to call it out, so we need to see who that is. That's Kerry Gammill. Yeah, that's pretty great. Kerry Gammill, just a fantastic artist. We got a Rick Jones entry here. Rick, obviously, is a professional sidekick in Marvel. First to the Hulk, then to Captain America. Then, of course, he was bonded to Captain Marvel. So he's got quite a tortured and storied history in Marvel. Great shot here with Ronan the Accuser, Captain Marvel, the Supreme Intelligence in the background, and Rick Jones on the ground there. That's a Sal Buscema panel there from Hulk, I think probably in the 270s. We even get a little Steranko here when he was briefly the Bucky character. Very cool stuff. All right. Juggernaut, Kane Marco, Professor Xavier's stepbrother, I guess, or half-brother. And he has vast superhuman powers. He's really a kind of an interesting character in a sense that he has a mystical origin with the Gem of Sidorak, which kind of also ties into Doctor Strange a little bit. So he's kind of a neat character. You think of him maybe as just a straight up brawler, but he really has a lot of magical power as well that he doesn't always really wield or use. But he is 6'10", 900 pounds. Strength level. The Juggernaut possesses Class 100 strength, enabling him to lift press over 100 tons. Juggernaut is said to be unstoppable, and the upper limit of his strength is not known. So, and then it goes on to basically say he's just completely invulnerable. If you could get his helmet off, obviously you could stun him with a mind bolt, but then he started wearing this skull cap, which kept protecting him. We got a lot of John Romita Jr. here. I think this might be all John Romita Jr. in the panels they've selected. This is from that incredible, amazing Spider-Man when he was trying to kill Madame Web and Spider-Man was doing everything he could to stop him. Ended up encasing him in concrete. This is from X-Men 183, where they have that epic barroom brawl, he and Colossus. This might be from 194, where they fight Nimrod. Great stuff. And this, I wonder if this is JR. This could be JR on the main figure. Let me take a look here. It is, yeah, it is. And that's a fitting selection for the artist for that one. What is his first appearance? Let's take a quick peek before we move on. X-Men 12. Yeah, that'd be a great issue to have. Jennifer Kale, a character I don't know a lot about, originally appeared in Fear number 11. Looks like she has some association with Man-Thing and this wizard character. Jennifer Kale is a highly skilled sorceress whose knowledge and power continue to grow as her studies continue. Like most sorcerers on Earth, Kale's magic is derived from the three major sources: personal powers of the soul, body, mind, derived through developing one's own psychic resources. It's a wonder that J.M. DeMatteis never pulled her into the Defenders, because she would have been a shoo-in for a Defenders character. But I guess he had enough weirdness to go on with what he had, so she never made it in there. But yeah, neat stuff. Kang, obviously another like Immortus, basically, who is a future version of Kang, just another linchpin character in the history of the Marvel Universe. So deeply tied in with the Avengers, also tangled with the Hulk. He's gotten around because there's, of course, the cabal of Cross-Time Kang, so there's a bunch of different aspects of Kang running around out there. And we did see that in the Ant-Man, the latest Ant-Man movie that was out a couple of months ago as of the recording of this video. Let's see. Strength level. Unaugmented by his armor, Kang possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and build who engages in moderate, regular exercise. Let's see. So I think I'm quickly looking for his strength level. I guess he can lift press 2.2 tons with his armor on. And he basically has Iron Man-like power armor and plenty of other gadgets going too. Cool shot of his time ship. That's a classic Avengers cover, I believe, retouched for this. Who draws the main Kang figure? It's Brett Breeding, though, which is nice. It's a very classic Marvel style Brett Breeding uses for that. And he would go on to be a regular inker for Ron Friends on that incredible Thor run that he and Tom DeFalco did. So, and this is a brilliant, I think, Ron Wilson Carcass. Just an awesome character, a deviant whose his soul is very noble and winds up as an ally of the Eternals. I love the character. He possesses superhuman strength, enabling him to lift press about 25 tons. Carcass has not yet attained adulthood, hence his strength may further increase in coming years. He's 8 foot 3 inches, 1,260 pounds. I remember that amazing, his first appearance is Eternals number 8, but he is in, I think, the Eternals annual that features him, the Reject, and Athena as the main characters. And it's just a brilliant, Kirby just rips it up in that issue. It's just tremendous. Karma, a classic New Mutant character drawn by Jackson Guice here, because I think he was the series artist when this was coming out, so he was a good choice. But in the panels here, we get a nice mix of Sal Buscema and then a little bit of Art Adams here during the Asgardian fracas when Karma drops all the weight back because she gained a bunch of weight when she was under the control of the Shadow Demon or whatever that guy's name, the spirit of Amal Farouk, I think. So, cool character, like her. And I was great. It was excited to see her back in the New Mutants and restored to her previous state. Karnak, one of my favorite Inhumans, an awesome, awesome piece of art here for Karnak. And that is drawn by Sandy Plunkett, who, again, I don't know a lot about Sandy Plunkett's career as a sequential artist, but this art they're doing here is tremendous. And Karnak possesses a degree of superhuman strength derived from his eugenically superior inhuman heritage. He can lift press about 1 ton. He is 5'7", 150 pounds. Besides super strength, Karnak possesses certain physical skills superior to those of the human athletes. He has an enhanced metabolism. He's conditioned his body and mind to their peak levels of efficiency. He has voluntary control over most of his body's autonomic functions. He's kind of like a monk in D&D. He just has all these cool body control abilities and the ability to strike and find a weak spot. So it's kind of neat. Karnilla, the other Asgardian sorceress. When you think of the Enchantress, we also need to think of Karnilla. She always had a thing for Balder, the Brave. She can lift press 25 tons as an Asgardian female goddess. And she has a host of magical powers. She's also 6'6", 475 pounds because she has super dense Asgardian musculature. Great Kirby panel here, drawn from early issues of Thor. We have a nice Kazar here from Val Merrick. That's a classic Val Merrick face there. You dye that character's hair black, and it could just as easily be Conan. Nice work from Val Merrick. And Kazar had a pretty interesting run. He had a really long run on his own title. I think it went 40 plus issues. This is great here. A lot of great action panels. Kazar possesses the normal human strength of a man of his age, height, and build who engages in intensive regular exercise. Although Kazar once claimed he was endowed with superhuman strength by the vapors of the land of mists, this is not true. Kazar possesses no superhuman physical powers, but his natural, athletic, hunting, foraging, and combative abilities have been owned to the peak of human perfection by spending 2/3 of his life surviving the wilds of the savage land. And then we have an appendix on other dimensions. Let me just pick one since we talked a little bit about Juggernaut and his mystical connection. Let's read about the Crimson Cosmos. Type, mystic realm. Environment, alien. Unusual means of access, magic. Dominant life form, none. Comments. The Crimson Cosmos is a world that exists in some sense within the ruby gemstone that created the Juggernaut. It was created by the evil demon Sitarak, in part to house the prototype gemstone, and in the past has served as a prison of timeless silence for the Juggernaut himself. Pretty cool. They don't really have a first appearance. I guess they do. First appearance, X-Men 33. Okay. Neat. So that has been our read-through of the official Handbook of the Marvel Universe, Deluxe Edition number 6. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope you really are liking this run, this epic run we're doing through the entire Handbook of the Marvel Universe. I'll resume reading through other comics when I'm done with this, but I think this is a blast, and I think it's fun to share these with you. So I'm going to try to make the whole 20-issue run. We'll see how it goes. If you do like this, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, and I'll be certain to bring you more later on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.